Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tortured Poets podcast. Mallory is on her way back to the
I'm here.
computer, but I decided
Melanie
that,
here.
yes, I decided that if I waited too long until you got back and then we'd like start talking again and forget to hit record. So I was like, I'm just going to hit record now and start talking, and
Mm-hmm.
then Mallory will be
Smart.
back. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel good about that because right before you stepped away, we were talking about beading because during this episode, we decided we're going to make bracelets. And so I was deciding which era I'm feeling today. What era are you in, Mallory?
Okay, well, today I'm actually in, I feel like an Evermore era, which is insane because
Ooh.
it's probably my least favorite album. I know, I'm sorry, I know, but to be fair, they're
Okay.
all great albums. So it's not that I don't like it, it's just out of
Mm-hmm.
all the albums, if I were to place
Mm-hmm.
it, it would be on the one of my favorite songs, and you know this is well, two of my favorite songs is Champagne Problems and Gold Rush. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I
Gold
mean,
Rush
I
is a
can't.
fucking bop. I was so choked that wasn't on the set list.
Which one?
Gold Rush?
Oh,
I know.
um,
But but you're
yeah,
Nevermore today.
but I'm not gonna do an Evermore bracelet because I decided I want to do a Midnight's one.
You know what? That's really funny because when I was deciding how I wanted to answer that
That's
question,
really beautiful
I
colors.
love
Okay.
that. At first, I thought I was going to do 1989 because I'm wearing a 1989 shirt, Magic, Madness, Heaven, Sin. Um, and then I was like, well, I feel a little bit grumpy, so maybe I'm going to do Reputation. But then I was like, no, I'm not like angry processing grumpy. I'm like very aware of how I feel grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to go with Midnights.
That's hilarious. Okay, but you're
I
using so much
know.
instrument. So I'm actually using clay beads, whereas Justine's using it's called glass beads.
I call them, well, these ones are mostly pony beads. So we're going to just do a little beading tangent because one of the things that Mallory and I have bonded over
And
recently,
I'm gonna
um,
start.
yeah, is making bracelets. And we make very different styles. So yeah, the clay beads that you use are like the small, round, flat ones, right?
Here,
And then,
like this bracelet I have on. I don't know if you can see it
yeah,
really well, but it's like, yeah, they're like
and then,
flat little beads that
and then
stack.
I use a blend of because I make two kinds of bracelets for Vigilante Gifts. Episode sponsor. The one is the I call them the trading bracelets with like the plastic pony beads, and so they have a whole bunch of different colors and textures and are very vibrant and fun. And then I also do what I call the bougie beads, which are like precious gems or like a glass, and they're usually
Yes, I like
one
those.
color. Like this one says Karma is a dog in honor of my puppy. But yeah, I do beading birthday parties, and so I have all of the beads organized into eras. So like there's the 1989 box, you know?
And
And yeah, today I'm gonna dive into Midnights. Um, and then as we're doing this, we're gonna go on like a little bit of a uh not rabbit hole, but like something that's going to be tangentially related to Taylor stuff, but also not Taylor related because you and I both have developed a little bit of an obsession lately. Is that a fair way of putting it?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Mallory, we planned this. We were texting about
Oh,
yesterday what the
yes,
episode's going to
I
be
know.
about.
Yes, yes, I know. I remember.
You
Okay.
know what's really funny though about that is right before this, I was doing a podcast interview with another friend, and it's her first episode for her podcast, which she got the name from me, and she was like, "Do you remember when you gave me that idea?" I was like, "Absolutely, I do not." Refresh my
No,
memory.
you cannot. Like, I have the worst short-term memory in like my kids get frustrated with me every day.
Yeah.
Like it's so bad. It's like, well, I told you last night, like I went on a whole ADHD like
Yeah.
mode where I could not stick to one task. And I went to go get a washcloth so I could wash my face, and it ended up with me vacuuming and mopping my entire house.
Been there.
Yep. So
Yeah.
it escalated really quickly
Yeah. Been
with me
there.
cleaning my house.
Been there. Yeah, but the okay. one of the shared passions that Mallory and I have, in addition to Taylor Swift and making bracelets, is like pop culture and reality TV. Is that a fair way of putting it?
Mhm.
And so, one of the shows that both of us have gotten into, interested in, and then Mallory recently pointed out that they had open applications for it, is The Circle on Netflix. So, this episode is going to be, I think, primarily about us talking about our pipe dream of being on The Circle together because we think we would be really good at it. And I think that our like guiding light strategy should be WWTD. What would Taylor do?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's going to be like the overlap of our worlds is as we talk about why we want to do this, all of that stuff. Then we can also make it relate to Taylor because that's what we do best. So
Everything, whether we try to or not, comes
I know
back.
sometimes I actively try not to.
Taylor
It's like
Allison.
resisting an intrusive thought, but like much more chill, where it's just like, don't bring up Taylor, don't bring up Taylor, don't bring up Taylor. I'm like, did you know that the person who has run 13 Grammys and run Album of the Year 4 times did this thing? And I'm like, I
I
didn't say her
know.
name.
I know. It's really hard. Like there are
Okay.
times that I have to physically stop myself from like spewing out random facts to Sean because I know he's going to get annoyed with me
I know
and it's
half the
not gonna
time
be
that I
worth it.
text you, it's just me redirecting my energy from Joe to you. Um, okay, so for anyone who is not maybe familiar with it, do you want to explain your understanding of the circle, Mallory?
Yes, I'm going to preface this by saying I watched, I think, the first 2 seasons of The Circle. And I'm
Hmm.
honestly not a huge TV watcher. I'm a big reader at night. So I can't
Hmm.
say that I have watched the recent seasons, but basically what the basis of the show is that there's an apartment building and there's contestants who live in the apartment building and they live in their own apartment and they cannot leave. Well, they can leave to go like outside, get fresh air or whatever. There's like a rooftop terrace. I'm going way off topic here. Anyways, they live in this apartment. What is it? 3 weeks?
I think that
Six
total
weeks?
filming is 3 weeks, I think. So there's, I
Okay.
think, 2 weeks of isolation, 2 weeks of filming or something like that.
Yeah. So, okay. So they can choose what whether they want to present themselves as themselves or whether or not they want to catfish.
Okay, I'm going to put a
And
pause. Hold on right here just to say, just to add that it is a social media competition game.
let's get in there.
Okay, sorry. I thought that that should go in before the profiles. That it's like,
I
because you
was
went from like they're
taking a really
living in
long
the
time.
apartments to like
I know.
making, but they live in the apartments because they're part of a competition,
Social.
social media. Yes, about,
So
yes.
what I was going to say is
Sorry.
their only source of contact is basically their TVs that have the internet on it, and they have their own version of what would be like a Facebook. And on this Facebook, it's just the contestants. They can choose to chat privately with one another. They have group chats going on. They can see each other's profile and I think 5 pictures, but that's it.
Yeah, I think that
So,
that has changed a little bit over the seasons how that shakes out, but yeah,
oh,
it's
okay.
yeah, so
Interesting.
the circle
That's how
is
it
a
began.
yes, that was the first season and I liked that better.
Mhm.
Um, the Circle is like a closed circuit social media app that is quote unquote voice activated, but also like producers are actually typing out the messages. But yeah, the goal of the show is that each person gets a profile. They're either playing the game as themselves or they're catfishing. The idea is you can be anyone, but you want to be the most popular or well liked person to continue going through the show. So like there's no internet. It's like isolation other than one day of rest off filming a week where you get to watch Netflix. But beyond that, like people are staggered throughout the building. If they move between rooms, they have on earplugs, headphones, and blindfolds. There's like a quote unquote air traffic controller that knows where people are in the building at all times so that they do not cross paths. So
Yeah.
yeah, so the goal of the
So,
game is to build these relationships and make connections through text essentially. Like that's all that you have to communicate with each other is Yeah, one-on-one chats or
And
group
to keep, yeah,
chats.
and to keep it fun, they have games that they play. They have like questionnaire games so that they can get to know each other better. And yeah, and some people, and this is a twist that I think started in the second season, but some people choose to play two people as one
Mhm.
like essentially character. So in the second, I think it was the second season, there was a guy who brought in his mom, and his mom's they stayed together in the apartment, and his mom kind of coached him through what to do. So basically they were playing as him, but with influences of his mom.
Mhm.
So
Yes. So
that
then
that too.
as we were talking about this, then yeah, so you had mentioned that you were interested in it and we,
Oh, let me just tell you what it was. Weeks ago, like
yep.
probably months ago, I saw that the circle was open for auditions again for casting. So I made a mental note. I should do that. Like that would just
Mhm.
be on a whim. I should just do that. Never got to it. Then I think it was last week. I was waiting for you to so we could hop on and do our podcast. And on a whim, I just decided I was home alone and I thought, well, now or never. And I just recorded my 1 minute clip and sent it in. And then we did our podcast. And right before we went on, I told you that I had hilariously enough just applied for the circle.
Yes. And then I was like, that is like the one show that I think I would actually be really interested in doing because my whole like work is about building connection with words on a screen. Like I'm a content writer for Pete's sake.
Yep.
Um and like I mean
Similar.
I met Joe online in a chat room thanks to you
Yes.
when we were kids. And so it was when making that connection because I was like submitting my own thing, then all of a sudden it was like holy shirt balls, we need to do this together because
Oh,
holy
forking.
mother forking
Sure.
shirt balls. Um,
Sorry.
yeah, like for so many reasons. In part just because it would be so much fun to live together in an apartment in the UK for a few weeks with you, like as just childhood dreams unlocked.
I wasn't even aware that it was in the UK.
Oh man, I have done so much research. And so then here's the other funny thing about like the differences that we would bring to this that we just think is hilarious. Like you had like thought about this and then, you like took a few takes of your video and then you just submitted it, right? More or
Yep,
less.
they're either gonna like me or they're not. It's
Me
either
being
fake or not.
being the like overthinker over whatever and like I write ad copy for clients. So when I hear you have 60 seconds to work with, I'm like, "Oh, I am going to make the most of every single second." So I am like scripting my thing so that I can just like get through all of the points that I want to get to. And so I think it would be really hilarious to have both of us working through a profile with those like opposite approaches, but also like we're so similar in so many ways.
Well, and funny because what we had talked about too is growing up, we were always so, and we mentioned this, I think, in the last episode. We were very jealous of each other. We were best friends, but we
Hmm.
were very like not in a competitive way, but just a Justine had so many qualities that I wished I had.
It was an
Justine had
insecure
like
way. Like,
exactly like
yeah.
I wished I was blonde.
Yeah.
I wished I could just understand math so easily that I could just do my homework in 10 minutes and be done with it. Meanwhile, I was someone who struggled with all these things. But then on the flip side of that, we
Yeah,
can
like I would like look at you and I was just like I thought you were so pretty. I thought that you were so funny. You were like you always made people laugh. You always like were so not entertaining the way that like your cousin was entertaining, but you were so charismatic and just like fun. And I always felt like everything I was doing was so not calculated in a bad way, but it was like I didn't know how to make it look as easy as it seemed to be for you. And like I felt like I had all of these expectations put on me that like I had to perform at a certain level and I had to do certain things. And like it was just always I
but
I just I was jealous of your spirit or something like that.
oh,
But either way, like again, I think that there was just ways that we really balanced each other out and like and then this would be a fun way to get to play to both sides of that with having
But
the
that's,
like
we
your
can make our
insecurities.
ultimate person.
Well, and like your insecurities, I'm the first person to be your cheerleader and vice versa. So as we're going through some of that stuff, because like with this game, the really interesting thing is that there's an element of like strategy and calculation, absolutely. But
Which
it's
I would not,
also,
that
which,
wouldn't be me. That would not be my forte. Like I would just go in there and just spew out whatever comes to mind and play with an open heart, and I wouldn't really strategize. I would just be like, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to say. This is how I'm going to react. And either people are going to like it or they're not. Either this is
mhm.
going to crush my confidence severely or it won't.
There's even an element that I'm like, if we were to go into it together, I mean, one of the jokes that I was making that is also 50% serious is that I just need you to do my makeup, like, because I
Yes,
can't, and like
yes.
that would be necessary. But I think it would feel a lot less personal and a lot more like a game if we were going into it together. Because there's even like, okay, I'm like trying to communicate two thoughts at once. Shocking for me. Because there's that element. That is one separate thing in terms of like I think that would make it feel quote unquote easier, more fun, more whatever. But then when I think about going in on my own, I cannot pretend to be someone else, right? Like I cannot lie. I can't keep those consistencies in lies, da da da, whatever. But
Um, can I just quickly butt in and tell a really funny story and say I absolutely can pretend to be someone else?
well, I was going to say,
And
I
I
just
don't
want
know
to
if you're
finish with saying, I just don't want to be blonde going in though.
you want to see what happens if your intellect is matched with my appearance.
Or
Like the
even just
brown
without
hair.
or even but not even just about like the pairing of like intellect with appearance. I think it's just their it sounds so ridiculous, but like blonde has an association in a way that
Absolutely.
like there's such a stereotype about it
Yeah. And it's
and
unfortunate.
like
And I think it's not so much anymore because we've come a long way as a society. But when we were younger, it was very heavily stereotyped.
well but I think now though even it's like there's not even the stereotype though about like dumb blondes or anything like that. um it's like mean girl blondes, like ringleader,
Yeah, yeah.
cheerleader, like chick flick, like
Regina George.
yeah,
But you know what?
yeah. And there's
Regina George, you're Elle Woods.
I appreciate
Okay,
that.
well,
Thank you for saying that. But
you get into
anyway,
Harvard.
all of that,
What, like it's hard?
like it's hard. I wanted to be a lawyer once, then I realized how much work it was to go to school for that long, and I did not want to do that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think that there's just something about being separated from that physical judgment and just leading with personality, but still knowing that it's authentic and real. Like it's still real, a real person. It's not an avatar,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Now I want to go back to my thought where I said
Yes. Sorry.
I absolutely can catfish because once upon a time I did it to Janae. You remember what I'm talking about? Janae, if you watch this or listen to this,
So
I
sorry.
I sincerely apologize.
When we were reading the notes that we mentioned the other day,
Yeah.
like Janae, you had the best head on your shoulders above and beyond.
Really though, like honestly, out of all of us, Janae was never the drama.
No.
She would listen to it. She would
Yeah.
support each of us
She
in
was
our own way.
she was sometimes victim to it, but she was
No,
never the drama. Anyway,
but
yeah,
at
so
least
you
what we
did.
can say, what we got out of that experience is it might help us if we get on the circle. So basically, I'm just gonna wrap up what we did real quick.
I'm so
So, and I
mortified right
know that,
now.
and honestly, I talk about this now because I know that Janae would probably sit there and hear this and laugh along with us. But we had gone, Justine and I had gone to my uncle's house to visit with my family in the summertime. And we for some stupid reason, probably because we didn't have social media or anything to do back then. So we decided, we were bored, we were going to make up a story that I met. We were 13. This is so stupid. That I met a boy. What was his name?
And because we both met them because we thought that,
They
oh,
were
I hate,
friends.
yeah, I hate saying this because I feel like such a shitty person, but we thought that Janae liked the people that we liked. And so we were going to make up people to see if she ended up liking them just because we liked them. I can't tell if you're frozen or just as mortified as I am. I think that she's frozen. So I'm going to wait until it catches up and I'll just try to fill in the blanks until it gets there. But oh, it's my internet connection that's unstable. Okay.
Oh, why are you always the unstable one?
I wish I knew.
No, I can't.
Anyway, so we were going on a road trip and we were trying to test this theory that was unhinged. And we thought that the best way to do that was to make up these people that we met while we were there, make up this whole backstory,
Mhm.
and then actually create MSN Messenger profiles to have those conversations.
And we added her, and then we would go to the Wyoming library because that's the only place that had internet. I didn't have internet at the time. So
No.
we would go to the library and we go on chat and we would just chat with her and
Mm-hmm. And try to get her to say bad things about us. We try to trap her.
yeah, girls are terrible.
There's a
Even
lot to
now,
figure
I have a
out.
10-year-old daughter and it's honestly, it's just girls are vicious and
Well,
hate it.
humans hurt humans, and we just have such a lack of understanding of like how to move through those things. And it sucks because kids do end up really paying the price at the hands of each other as they figure it out. And like,
And then they end
it's,
up damaging each other more.
yeah,
It's so hard.
yeah.
It's so hard.
But hopefully they grow and learn from it. And, years
Mm.
and years down the road, 20 something, more than 20 years.
More than 30.
No,
No,
20.
20. See, not the
20.
math one.
I'm like, now I'm really wanting to do the mathing. Is it like 23 years or something like that? Later that we're able to like look at it and say, "Oh man, this is what we were trying to do." And but
Really, it was a product of our own deep-seated insecurity.
100%. But I even with that experience at such a young age of catfishing before catfishing was even named a thing, when it was just lying,
Yeah.
I but that like if we were to play the game, the thing is like I don't think that I could go into it and lie either about myself or to other people.
And
Is the really tough thing.
the funny thing is, I just truly want to know if people like me for who I am. Which
Yeah.
going back to deep-seated insecurities.
100%.
Yeah. But you know what? I think if you and I were doing it together, it would just be the best experience. I would rather
Mhm.
do it with you than do it myself. I don't think I'm
Yeah.
stable enough to do it myself, but
You don't think you're mentally stable enough to do it yourself?
Mm.
I think I'm exactly the right amount of mentally unstable to do it myself.
If you see me looking down constantly, I'm trying to count beads, but I think I should just give up doing that because it's distracting.
So what I do, I'm like so slow right now. I actually just end up doing like the same pattern over and over and over and over and over.
You're
And then
slow?
yeah, but how many beads is that?
I
Your
think
beads
it's
are a lot smaller.
yeah,
That's
it's
10?
yeah.
Wait, one, two, three, four, five, six. Mine's 25. Anyway,
Mine's
I'll just
14.
eventually I'll just eventually tie off a bunch of midnight sayings on this. Um, but yeah, it's like okay, so when I think about doing the circle, like watching some of the episodes now, like people end up in these positions where they're trying to like build these alliances and relationships and conversations are happening in the background and they're like not telling each other what's going on. and stuff. And like, I understand that's part of the strategy, but I'm also like, isn't there a world where someone could just be 100% honest?
So that is what my strategy would be going into it, right? I would
Yeah.
be the honest one. And in the first season, I think his name, what was his name that he won? It was
Joey.
something. No,
Who won?
no, it was Shibu or
Shabam.
something like that.
Shabam.
Shabam?
Shubi. Shubi. Yep.
Shubi, not Shibu,
Shabam.
Shubi.
Yeah, it's Shabam.
I'm pretty sure he won.
No, Joey won.
Well, he was a finalist.
Yes.
But anyways, I loved him because he was 100% himself. Even
He was so genuine.
before going on the show, he didn't even have a big Instagram following. Like I don't even know
No,
if he had a public account.
he did. I don't think he had social media. So he was going in like completely
Yes,
blind.
right. And he had no idea.
Yeah.
And anyways, when you go back to saying the thing is where there's like things happening in the background and people having private conversations,
Hmm.
I already felt my inner child seize up within me when you said that, because that is a trigger for me, is
Hmm.
talking about me.
Hmm. Yep. Oh, I think my internet's being unstable again because you froze, but I'm going to keep talking here. I hope this doesn't make for a bad recording in the other side. But being talked about and like not part of the conversation is also such a massive trigger for me. Did you hear any of that, Mallory?
Yes, I can hear
Okay,
everything.
good. Great. It's just the
Yeah.
video freezing. Um,
You're not
yeah.
freezing for me.
Oh, perfect. Just you're freezing for me, but that's
Oh,
fine.
shoot.
It's because you're so cool. Uh, when I was when I was in college, there was like girl drama in my last year, and in the massage therapy program, there was like curtained cubicle things in the lab, and people would like work in them.
Oh, I don't
And
like where this is going.
I know, it's awful. The one
Yeah.
day I walked in through the back door of the lab and there was a group of people that I thought were my friends just having a full-on bitch session about me, just saying like if the worst things that you thought people said behind your back, you heard them actually
Oh,
say. And the worst part is it was stuff that I suspected, like my intuition said this is going on, and everybody denied it over and over and over. And then I actually found that out and I was like, wow, okay, so here's the truth. And in that, I mean, in that moment is such like a dramatic statement, but it's like I kind of have this mentality that it's like I don't want to say something about somebody that I would not say if they were in the room.
absolutely. And I'll tell you something. I took on that mindset um the year I got married because
Mhm.
there was a big dramatic thing that happened. Again, girls are just dramatic. We take out our insecurities on each other. Anyways,
It's just in
and
different ways. I'll
yes.
maintain that all humans do this, but yes, I'm with you. I'm with you for the purpose, yes.
Okay. So, anyways, I just made up my mind that if I never said anything to anyone that I wouldn't be afraid to say to that person in front of their face, then I
Yes.
never have to worry about what I said about someone. So
Yes.
I took on that mentality, and let me tell you, the amount of stress that that relieves is immense.
Mhm.
And so I've been teaching that to my kids, especially Harlow. She's a 10-year-old little girl. And I always say, would you say that in front of them? And if they say, um, like I think even Lane had issues with the boys saying,
Mhm.
so and so said this about you. And I explained to him, I was like, you need to tell your friends that you wouldn't say anything to anyone else that you wouldn't say to their face.
Mhm.
So if you don't admit to saying something that they accuse you of,
Mhm.
then they believe you. Or I
Mhm.
mean, if you admit, they'll know you'll admit to it.
Mhm.
If I have a strong opinion about something you've done, the only way I'm going to bring it up to someone else is if I'm willing to bring it up to you too. And I
Mhm.
stand by what I said.
Yep. Yeah, what's that expression? Say it with your whole chest.
Oh, it's the new Ariana Grande song?
Oh, is it? Well, then I take it back.
I
I have,
know.
I
I
have,
have feelings.
I
Here
have
we go,
feelings.
being girls. Like,
No. Mm,
it's different. It's different because it's a behavior issue that I have issue with.
Yeah, there's a pattern of
Not a
behavior that
personality.
I'll
It's not,
this is the way that I've tried to kind of like categorize eh, things like this because I really try to step out of judging, right? And so for me, judging means saying that something is good or bad,
mhm. Again,
basically in its simplest terms,
judgment puts you in a cage.
100%. And so I try to look at it as like not I think that someone who makes those choices is a bad person, but it's
Right.
someone who consistently makes those choices, it erodes my trust in their integrity. And
Mm,
that is one of the things that like
yes.
really again like to come back to the circle, it's something that I really think that if we went in from this place of like I am going to be 100% honest and like we'll never have to double back,
Yes.
then and but then yeah, so and what that would look like as an example is one of the things that people struggle with is like as you make alliances, it's like they want to have your number one, your number two, they want to know who has your back. And it's like if we made an alliance with someone and said like you're my number one, like whatever, and then someone else says, "Are we in it together?" It's like this person's my number one, but you are absolutely down to be my number two.
Hmm.
Like not that explicitly, but
Yeah.
because really you need five to make it to the final. So if you have like a really solid anyway, I just
You're
I would
strategizing, and my ADHD is kicking in.
I am yeah, this is my hyper focus. It's like all that I think about lately is what I would do.
You sent me a meme the other day, and it was like genius business idea. An online store where people can sell their hyperfixations that they're no longer
Yeah.
interested in. So you can basically
Yeah.
pick up where someone left off.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, but then who would take over running the website? Because eventually someone's gonna get bored of running that actual website.
Mm,
Do we share the website?
sounds like a them problem.
Yeah, but who's them? Because it's constantly gonna be it's constantly gonna be a new them.
That sounds like a future problem.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, my again, my strategy, this is what I put in my video, okay, my audition video. I
Yes.
said there are three things I tell my children every day that I drop them off at school. I say be kind, make good choices, and listen to your body, and that's exactly what I would be taking into the circle with me as my
Love
like
that.
guiding principles.
Yeah.
um and
Be
then yeah, in
kind.
the
What was the second one?
it was be kind, it
Yeah.
was make good choices, and then listen to your body.
Body. I love that listen to your body one because it's so true. And a lot of the
Mhm.
time, I think we try to ignore what our body tells us because other people are telling us we should ignore it. For
Mhm.
example, today, and this is totally like not deep or anything, but it goes back to it is um my son Lane has the stomach flu and he didn't have an appetite all day. And that's so unlike him because he's an 8-year-old
Mhm.
boy and he's always, always, always eating.
Mhm.
And I said to my husband, I was like, it was probably almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, he still hasn't eaten anything. And
Mhm.
that tells me that he's still sick because
Mhm.
his body won't allow him to be hungry because it's fighting a virus, right? Like it's just going to
Mhm.
reject whatever food he puts in his body.
Mhm.
And it's just like it's simple science, but it works on a mental level too.
Mhm. Well, and there's part of me that thinks like those, I don't know, some like the skills that you, I don't know, like learn from being a mom, I want to bring in the circle. I want to mom people, you know?
Mhm. I want to bring up the fact that we know everything there is to know about self growth and self healing, and we're just the best. And
Obviously.
yeah,
Well, I'm like, they're just gonna want to run the feet on us 24/7 because it's gonna be
if
like
you
one big
hear
slumber
something,
party. What?
you hear, if you hear thumping, it's because Harlow is practicing her handstands or something above me.
Oh,
Uh,
good for her.
I can't wait to see what we title this podcast episode because other than the circle, we've gone off on a lot into a lot of places.
Honestly, and I was like even trying to like think about how to bring it back to Taylor for the sake of the vibe, but couldn't.
Put a disclaimer in our Instagram bio in our initial introduction that we are definitely Swifties, but we're not just Swifties. We are mothers, we are wives, we're sisters, we're friends. We have ADHD, so we're probably never going to stick to a topic too long.
No. Also, I'm like,
It's interesting.
I think that we should probably, by the way, just like submit an audition tape together
Oh,
in
I
addition.
already figured we would.
Because the fact that like we are both moms of two, the fact that we are both the middle of five kids, the fact that we like there's so much overlap there that we basically it would not be hard
To be the same person.
to be the same person. Our codependence could finally shine in a profitable way for us.
I love it. I'm almost done my bracelet. I can't wait to show you. Are you done yours?
I mean, I'm just continuing to bead.
This is a necklace. That's not.
No, it's multiple bracelets. Because then at the end, I'll just be like, Y-O-Y-O-K. And I tie it and I cut it. And then I'll do maroon. And then I tie it and I
You're
cut it.
so smart.
I have a system for everything, Mallory.
I don't. I don't believe in them.
It's the only way I can function. Like, how do you do that? Well, you see, I have a system.
You know
like,
what? I love systems. I just can't seem to utilize them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. That's why in the circle, I would be the note taker. I would be the researcher. I've already been like, I'm like going to watch all of the seasons from the beginning and I'm going to be making notes on.
And I'm just going to show up and be the comedic relief and say really silly, obnoxious things when I need to. Not obnoxious in a cute way. I'm going to be obnoxiously cute.
You're going to bring the fun. I bring the a bit much.
No, you are not. There is no such thing as too much.
So I was watching Vanderpump Rules, and do you watch it at all?
No, I don't.
One of the latest. It's fine.
I was about to say, I don't watch reality TV shows. Meanwhile, here we get the whole.
I'm also like, one of the things that Mallory and I bond over is reality TV. Now, one of the things I talk at Mallory about regularly is reality TV, and she humors me enough to continue the conversation.
I mean, I do watch it. I've watched almost all the seasons of Love is Blind. I've watched Too Hot to Handle, which is probably my favorite one, guilty pleasure. I watched Ultimatum. I've watched them all.
Yeah.
I have to be in the right mood and
yeah, well, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. I'm in the mood for Vanderpump Rules. And one of the people on it, Jo, she's like a friend of Schwartzy. Doesn't matter. The girls are really mean to her. And did you hear my dog?
I thought it was fighting. A child.
No, that's the dog child. They're fighting right now. Well, they're play fighting. But anyway, people are really like mean to Jo, and she made a comment about like for anyone with ADHD, like that's a real asshole thing to do. And I watch it and I'm like, I feel you.
Yes.
Like you're like awkward and uncomfortable and like fidgety and like people don't quite get you and like yes. And I'm just like, my heart breaks for you in that.
Yeah.
Because
and we're gonna do a whole other episode on like adult diagnosis of ADHD and how liberating it is.
This podcast, I think, is literally the only place I've mentioned it.
Oh.
Because I'm like...
I feel like I did that for you and I apologize.
Yes. No, that's okay.
I didn't realize that.
That's okay. I didn't specify. It's funny because I'm like, again, we're just going all over the place today. But
no, which is
on brand.
Why
on brand.
We needed to be honest about
when my
diagnoses.
When I had the call with my doctor, and he was the one that suggested ADHD, he's like, Justine, have we ever considered that you may have ADHD? And I said, fuck off. And he goes, that is not a normal response. Why are you so upset about this?
Mm-hmm. And we have such opposite experiences because I literally had to beg my doctor to get me tested for it because I follow someone on social media who found out as an adult that she had it. and we are
Mm-hmm.
very similar people. Very, very. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like she's me in the future. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but anyways, she was bringing up all these things, and I was checking all the boxes, like it scarily. Like I would show Sean, and he'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh yeah." I would show my family members. Like even my mom was like, "Yeah." Like
Mm-hmm.
even when I drive, um,
Yep.
my mom pointed out that my right leg bounces constantly
Mm-hmm.
when I drive. It's
Did
just
I
I
did I tell you my mom's response when I told her?
was she like, "Oh yeah, I could see that."
She laughed and I went, Mom! And she goes, Oh, honey, I'm not laughing at you. I'm
Oh,
laughing with you. You're just not laughing yet.
now you're gaslighting me.
Like, and then she was just, anyway, she was like, I'm sorry. She's like, that makes so much sense. That explains so many things. She's like, I'm sorry we didn't realize when you were younger. I'm like, well, nobody knew what that looked like. But
Well, and I think the thing is, like, for me too, and this goes back to us being, and I'm sorry I totally interrupted, and that is another thing that
oh,
comes ADHD, the impulse to.
I already forgot.
So, but in the beginning, we were talking about how we were jealous of each other. And my thing
Mm-hmm.
growing up was that I was always seen as like, I talk too much in class. I have to sit in the front because I couldn't focus. I never got my homework done. Like these are consistent things on my report card as a kid. And growing up, that was like, it made me feel so ashamed of myself. And it made me feel like I was a failure of a person. And it wasn't until I was an adult and realized that these were ADHD qualities that I was like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not, it's not a quality thing in me. I am
Mm-hmm.
not a bad quality person. I don't choose to make these poor choices. It's the way my brain works chemically. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just, and I cried. Like
Mm-hmm.
I cried of relief. And then I went to, it was actually my therapist who also, when I told her I thought I might have ADHD, she assured me because she has a daughter with ADHD. And
Mm-hmm.
she, one of my things in therapy, and I'm a very open person, is that I don't give myself the love that I give others. And
Mm-hmm.
that stems from the fact that, and this is a heartbreaking fact, kids with ADHD hear
Mm-hmm.
22,000 more criticisms by the time they're 12 than a child without ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
That just, so we also just found out that Harlow, when she's diagnosed anxiety, so we're not sure if it's actually ADHD because it could just be anxiety giving ADHD symptoms. But anyways,
Mm-hmm.
when we
I'm
started
listening and kicking my dogs out. Keep going.
when we started noticing those traits in Harlow, I wanted to get her tested right away because I wanted her to be accepting and okay with the fact that she did have ADHD so that she
Mm-hmm.
could understand why things were harder for her. Because if I
Mm-hmm.
would have understood that as a kid, I would have been able to put up a shield that said, it's not my fault that I can't go home after 8 hours of school and sit down for an hour and do math problems when I already struggle with math.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and it's so vicious because it's like the reason that you struggle with it is because of these symptoms, and then you end up getting sent home to do it more, which just ends up
Yeah.
reinforcing that it's not some like, and it's funny because I had like the almost opposite side of that where I would
Yeah.
be so like I was getting the gold stars, the A's, the dopamine, the like
Hmm.
whatever. And when I didn't have that automatic reinforcement built into my life, I did not know what to do.
Yeah.
Like my sense of identity was just,
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just like, and this is just like, this is me trying Taylor's song.
yep.
That second verse, so I got wasted like all my
They told me
potential.
all of my
All my
cages were
pages were
mental.
mental, so I
So
got
I got
wasted like all
wasted
my.
like all my potential.
See, we always find a way. We always find the invisible string that will bring us back to Taylor, no matter what we talk about.
I know.
And I think
Aw.
we talked about a lot on this
Yeah. We covered a lot of ground
episode.
today. And
We
the
have to
main
save stuff
takeaway,
so that we can continue this podcast.
not
We need
wrong.
to Save
Well,
content.
I'm like, if we end up in the circle, what are you allowed to bring in? Are we allowed to bring in like an audio recorder if it's not connected to the internet? Can we record the podcast while we're there? Can we
I
write a
highly
book
doubt it.
while we're there with it? I think you can bring one thing in,
Yeah,
but
but I don't think they would
I
allow you
don't
to
think they would
record.
allow that.
No.
No, no, I don't think that they would allow that.
So hilariously enough, something that I thought about that what we could do while we were there is write our book that we've always talked about writing.
I literally thought the same thing. But I was like, we would need to
Now
ask for a
everyone's listening going,
typewriter.
now everyone listening is going, oh man, they want a book too? Like,
Oh no!
yeah. It's like these girls, when does it end? It doesn't.
Never.
It doesn't. These things keep us up at night. This
Yep.
is why I have to take 10 milligrams of melatonin every night.
I take 30.
You don't take 30. You need to talk to your doctor about that. It's not healthy. You're not supposed to take more than 10.
Really?
Yeah. Some nights I take 20 because they're gummies, right? Like I have gummy melatonin
Mm-hmm.
and they're
I'll have to
delicious.
look into that. I just do like a handful. I'm just like, I'm gonna go to sleep.
No,
And
you're
then I
not
have great
supposed to.
sleeps. Great sleeps. So, okay, well, don't take that advice from me, people. That
Really
is
do not.
not.
We are not medical professionals. Don't
No.
ever take any advice from us.
I did another podcast interview earlier today with a friend of mine, and at one point she was like, "Yeah, like we're not medical professionals," and I was like, "I have so much experience being mentally ill, but I am not a medical professional."
I am a medically unstable professional.
Clinically diagnosed. Like
Yeah.
I'm professionally unstable, but that's about the limit of it.
Hey, it leads
So,
to in interesting life
yep, and
with
all
great potential
roads
to get on a reality TV show. And
are
and bringing it back to Taylor again.
yeah,
And this ties in. I was watching the New Heights podcast,
yeah.
TikTok, and it was, did you see it? Travis was convincing Jason that he needs to watch Love is Blind. And my initial very first thought was, oh, Taylor watches Love is Blind. Imagine being
Yes.
in Love is Blind and finding out that Taylor Swift
And
watched.
so that's part of I'm like, could you imagine being on the circle and being the first Canadians, first of all, depending on what happens with the next two seasons, but I would love to see Canadians go in, play the kindness card
Oh,
and win. But
sorry,
also
Carmen scared me. Did
that
you
was a
hear
thump
that?
lump. I did hear that one. But then the other thing is like imagine Taylor watched us and she's just like, I am so proud. They really represented the Swifties well.
Yes.
And I also would want to share one Taylor Swift fact with every single person we chatted as a litmus test in case there is a hacker. And then I can be like, what is our code song?
You know what? I just love that this is a pure example of how naturally everything we talk about gets back to her. Just
Yep.
naturally. Oh
Did you drop it? Are you practicing
no!
unattachment?
The edges of the knot and I broke it.
Oh no.
Anyways, this was mine.
I did
Also, hi,
maroon
come on.
and I did.
This is Harlow. I came back.
Hi, Harlow. Oh, your hair looks so cute.
Hey, if we get on the circle, I can do your hair like that.
Yeah, because okay, I always try to do the like ponytail with like the
bubbles.
Like, the bubbles.
I can't wait to see it. I'm almost done, honey, and then you can show me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh,
probably.
jealous. Mallory, be my mom. That's why we need to go on the circle. So you can be my mom, and then I'll be your mom, and then you be my mom, and
You can
we'll just.
reparent each other.
I know, and I just don't want to clean up after anyone else for a couple weeks.
Yeah, no kidding.
So okay, well let's wrap that up here.
Now that I've destroyed my bracelet,
It's just a new
I'm
beginning.
gonna restring it, but
Yeah, make sure you tie a square knot so it's good and tight.
it's this material. So I
Mhm.
actually have crafting glue that I usually glue the knot before
Mhm.
it's like cement.
I
Um,
do threaded elastic. So there's an elastic under it, but then there's also threading around it. So like you can see the
yeah,
fray. When the end is frayed, I end up like just doing a nice
so
little cleanup.
The only problem with clay beads doing that is it doesn't keep them taut enough.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
That's
want
fair.
this look where they're all tight,
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
to
You need
use
the
the
different.
Crystal Tech.
Okay. Well, when we're in the circle, you can teach me your ways and I'll teach you mine.
We will blow
So,
up with our bracelets because we'll
in a
have
good way.
3 weeks to do nothing but make bracelets. Focus on our
Amazing.
hyperfixations.
I love it. I love this for us. Okay. Thank you so much to everyone who made it this far. Once again, this is the Tortured Poets podcast, Unhinged. As per usual, Mallory, is there anything you want to say to the people before we sign off?
Just make sure that if you're making bracelets, you tie really good knots.
Yes.
That's
I
the
love that.
moral of this episode.
And if you're tying sailing knots, probably it's important that they're good too.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.